like, share, and please give this information to everybody that you think will find this insightful. Without further ado, let's get started. So, the game of life. That's the title of this podcast today, because what if life itself was a game? And if we understood how to play this game of life, then perhaps we could master how we play this game of life. But we first need to understand something, that in order to succeed in this game of life, we have to understand the rules. Every single game that we could engage in has rules. Think about chess, think about football, think about poker, think about basketball. The rules are there to ensure that the game is playable and to ensure that the game is harmonious, right? So the rules are not there to punish you. They're not there to act as an obstacle. The rules exist purely to help the game become more playable, more harmonious. So every single individual that plays it can play it smoothly. Just imagine you played a game of chess and somebody had a knight and they decided to move their knight like a queen. And they said, no, I'm just going to do that because that's how I feel like playing this game. You would tell them, no, that's not how the game of chess works. That's not how you play this game. You would not say that the way that person is playing that game is unfair. No, you understand that chess has its own rules, it has its own principles to understand. Now, same thing can be applied in the game of life. There are rules and principles and fundamentals to understand in every single endeavor that we could ever pursue. And the problem that most individuals have is that they try to impose their own set rules onto an already existing system that has its already existing rules and principles. So if you want to, for example, lose weight, or you want to gain the desired body, right? You have to understand that there are principles to attain that certain goal. You have to understand that your body requires a certain diet. There are principles in how you should eat. There are principles in how you should work out. There are principles in how you should rest. And there are principles in how you should think about your exercises and think about your bodily growth. You see? So there are principles to everything. If you're an artist, there are principles in how you make your music. There are principles in how you conduct your songs, how you produce your songs as well. Every single thing that we can engage in life has its own rules and its own principles. So the best thing to do is to follow the path of least resistance to ensure that you can play this game in the most smooth way possible and not fight and have friction and tension and conflict. So understand the rules, understand the principles, and adhere to them as much as you can in order to get ahead in this game of life. Now, next one is character creation, right? So upon you understanding the rules of this game, we have to understand that every single one of us gets plugged into a certain character. And this character is our identity, right? In this game of life. In the video game, you get assigned a character, and that character has their own default settings, right? That you cannot necessarily change. The character looks a certain way. Some games you can change these appearances, and other games you can't. Depending on the game that you're playing, certain things are grayed out within your character. You cannot change. And the same thing can be applied in the game of life. Certain things are given to you from your default setting. And when you look at those settings, some of those attributes are grayed out because you cannot alter them. Things like your genetics, things like your parents, things like your immediate environment, things like your height. These cannot be edited and changed in the game, right? However, there are certain elements within your character description or attributes that can be changed, that can be edited and can be molded. Things like your personality, things like your belief systems, things like your habits. These can essentially help your character in any way, shape, or form that you so desire, and you have control over editing and changing them. However, there are certain elements of the game of your character that cannot be changed. When you try and change it, it's grayed out. It's given to you. But there are elements that we can change. One of them being your programming. How you were programmed when you were growing up. that became a part of your character description. However, that was a programming and it can be unlearned and it can be changed, right? So it's not grayed out in the game of life. You effectively can make changes there. So are you aware that you are playing this character? Are you aware of the default settings that your character has and the settings that you can potentially change, right? So obviously, the focus of attention should be on the elements that your character possesses that can be changed, right? And as we get deeper into that, we have to look at inventory. Every single game that you play that has an open world in some way, shape, or form gives you some inventory. Inventory is to ensure that you can get equipped in the game so that you can deal with every single situation or circumstance or obstacle correctly. You're given weapons, you're given tools, you're given resources, you're given abilities, right? So life also gives you inventory, right? But it's very different from how the game gives you inventory. The game, you know what your inventory is. You plug into the game, you start the game, it gives you a landing page that shows you all your inventory, every single thing that you can use in the game. However, in the game of life, your inventory is essentially invisible for the most part. You don't begin life knowing what's inside of you. You don't know your talents, you don't know your creativity, you don't know the sense of courage that you have, the sense of curiosity, your interests, your desires, your capacity to lead, your capacity to create something phenomenal. All of this is invisible to you in the game of life. The only way that you can unlock these features within your inventory in the game of life is through intention and action, right? You don't discover your courage by thinking about your courage in this game of life. You have to discover your courage through experience. When experience calls forth courage, right? Your experience calls you forth to be courageous. That is what creates the courage in your inventory, right? It's not thinking about it, it's actually moving in the direction that forces you to be courageous, that implants it into your inventory, that gets downloaded into your inventory. You don't discover leadership, right, just by thinking about it, contemplating it. You get a conception of it, but to actually unlock that feature in your inventory, you have to put yourself in a situation where you have to lead. You don't discover your creativity by not creating anything. You have to discover it in your inventory through the art of creation. So inventory isn't revealed through you thinking about it alone. Your inventory is revealed through intention and action. Okay, so most people wait for that certainty, right, before they act. They wait for the right moment, but that's not how life works. In order to develop your inventory, to gain the amount of resources that you require in order to master the game of life and to deal with any kind of circumstance, you have to put yourself in the open world and gain experience, right? Which is what I'm going to get into right now. Every single thing that you can experience, right, adds to your tally. Now, video games all have their own things, their own mechanics as to how they tally. But a lot of times, video games operate in a way where whenever you experience something, you get a plus sign on your experience. And that then gives you more access to your attributes and your powers and your skills. So the game of life is very similar. All your victories, all your defeats, all the unexpected discoveries, all the challenges, all the moments of joy, all the moments of frustration, right? All of this tallies up in your experiences. People think that the objective of life is to win. Like life has a scoreboard and it's tallying up your wins and your losses. And on the surface, that may be true. There are superficial wins and superficial losses. However, if experience is the goal, then you're always winning, because experience, intentional experience, reveals qualities within you, things within your inventory that you did not have access to. Think about a video game character that just sits in its room and scrolls on its phone. all day long. And outside of this character's house is a whole open world ready to be engaged in. Yet that character refuses to go out and only wants to stick on their phone and scroll all day. What's going to happen to that character eventually? They're going to lose their access to their inventory. They will not complete any kind of mission. They will not gain any kind of points because they're only subjecting themselves to one location in the game. So experience requires you to spread your awareness, to spread your consciousness and move and interact with other people, interact with different kind of activities so that you gain more points, so that you reveal and unravel the inventory that you have. Every single one of us, every single human being has an infinite inventory. That's a beautiful thing about the game of life. We have an infinite inventory. In a video game, your inventory is limited to your game. Think of Ghost of Tsushima, right? It's set in the Edo period, so they're samurais. So you're only limited to swords and spears and certain armor, right? So that inventory is limited. However, in the game of life, not necessarily focus on weapons, but your attributes are literally infinite. You can develop any kind of attributes that you so desire, so long as you can conceive of it. If you see another individual that has something in their inventory, you can possess that as well. That's the mirror principle in this reality. Every single quality that another individual has, you have it within your inventory too. It's just you have not given it the day of light. You cannot access it. It's invisible to you because you don't have a correlating experience that can trigger it, that can activate it, that can unlock it. So that's the purpose of life, is to gain experience, so much so that you unlock more and more and more and more of your inventory. So the objective of life is not to win. Wins are temporary. As soon as you win at something, you're going to have to win at something else. And that cycle will continue over and over and over again. So the only way to win at this game of life is to experience things as much as you can. Be open to new experiences. Be open to experiences that challenge you, right? So winning enriches your experiences. Losing enriches your experiences. Love enriches your experiences. Grief enriches your experiences. Growth enriches your experiences. All of it requires you to experience so that you can activate those qualities within you. They usually don't activate by themselves. They need experience to unlock it. So another experience that one needs to endeavor on in this game of life are side quests. Every single video game that has an open world has side quests, right? And the side quest has nothing to do with the main objective or the main mission. Relatively nothing to do, right? There are small parts maybe that may be related. Think, for example, GTA, when somebody steals a stranger's phone and the stranger comes to you and tells you, hey, someone stole my phone or someone stole my bag. And then you go to that criminal, you get the person's items that they stole and you give it back to them. And then that stranger now becomes your friend, or they give you money, or there's someone that you can call for when you need a favor. So upon engaging in side quests, they actually aid you to achieve the bigger goal, the bigger mission, the bigger objective. Same thing applies in life. Whenever it is that you have a main goal, a main objective, right, that you would like to get to, don't be afraid of engaging in side quests that don't necessarily seem connected to it, but because you have intention and action, somehow, some way, they will connect. Think, for example, those difficult jobs, that you perhaps have to engage in order to make enough money so that you can save and get the thing that you want, right? You go through those motions in that job, knowing that it's a side quest, knowing that you're building and you're gaining every single thing that you need to prepare you for the bigger goal, for the bigger objective, for the bigger mission, right? Those failed businesses that you've tried in the past, and those seemed like distractions at that moment, upon looking back, you realize that those failed attempts were actually building your character. They were building your inventory. You were gaining leadership. You were gaining tenacity. You were gaining charisma, you were gaining knowledge of the business world, but you had to fail in order to gain those things, and you had to engage in those side quests in order to gain and unlock those inventory skills. So once you begin to understand that side quests are essential in a game, so they build you towards the bigger goal and the bigger mission. So most people just want to focus on the mission, and they think every single thing else are distractions. But some of them are actually side quests that if you engage in authentically with intention, it will always lead you back to the main objective, or it will age your character and give you the necessary inventory in order to get there. And then upon you going through this game of life and in the video game, you're going to encounter bosses. Every single level of a game has a boss, right? Every single part of a game has a boss. And when we get to the boss in a video game, we actually are delighted because we know that we're getting closer to finishing the game. We're getting closer to completing the main objective. However, in the game of life, people experience a boss or a challenge or an obstacle, and they start thinking negatively about it, as if life is making them move backwards, as if that situation is an obstacle unto itself. And they don't actually realize that in order to experience a boss, in order to experience an obstacle or a challenge, it means that the game is inviting you to move towards a new level. A game will never present to you a boss or a challenge or an obstacle that is beyond your current level. The game will always ask us where it is that you exist, where your level is at this moment in time, and it will give you a boss that is germane or resonant to that level, so you don't go above and beyond your current level. The video game operates that way, and the game of life operates in the exact same way too. Every single obstacle, every single boss, every single challenge that you experience in life, life has intelligence to know to present that to you because it knows you have the inventory to deal with it. So if you are experiencing a challenge that you feel is overwhelming, it feels like you cannot get through it, delight in that, celebrate in that, because that's life telling you, I know you have the inventory to deal with it. I know you have every single attribute and skill and power in order to overcome this boss, overcome this challenge. Do not approach your circumstances, your challenges in life as if you are being punished, as if it's a negative thing. It's never a negative thing, because that's always an invitation towards your next step in evolution. Because the game realizes that you are moving forward. So in order to get to that next level, you have to defeat the boss. You have to defeat that obstacle. And you do it by accessing your already existing inventory to deal with it. And upon succeeding, which you will if you approach it with this state of mind, upon succeeding, you gain even more inventory and you come across more and more and more bosses. So the video game, it ends, right? There's a final boss and then the game ends. In this game of life, you are constantly coming across new bosses, new challenges, new obstacles, and it will never end until you die. Because the goal of this life is to experience. It's not to reach a certain objective. It's not to reach a certain mission. It's to experience. And if experience is the goal here, then you will always be refined and you will always be called to new levels of being. Now, once you understand that this is a game and you understand that you are playing a character, we have to step back now and understand that you are the player. Think about a video game. You are the one controlling the character in the game through your joystick. You press X, the player jumps. You press circle, the player starts punching, right? So you control the character in the game. So as the player, you cannot get angry at your character when it does things that you have told it to do through your joystick. You press X, it jumps, and then you get frustrated because you wanted it to punch. If you wanted to punch, you gotta press circle. You can't press X, right? So in the game of life, it operates in a very similar way. You are controlling your character. So if your character is doing things or feeling a certain type of way or self-sabotaging, it's because you, as the player, are not controlling your character correctly. You are pressing the wrong buttons. You don't know the user face correctly. You don't know how to use the right combinations. It's like I'm playing a game of Taken, right? And I get given Jin Kazama. And I don't know how to use Jin Kazama, so I just use kicks all the time. Or, I defend all the time. But Jin Kazama is a varied fighter. Like I think he specializes in judo or it's some kind of karate. And I don't use those skills. And then I end up losing over and over and over and over and over again. It's not because Jin is at fault, it's because I don't know how to use Jin. So you have to know how to use your character. You have to know how to access its inventory and know how to play your character accordingly. See, if you don't know how to use your character will constantly fail, and then you will blame it on the character instead of the player, which is you. All you need to do is give your character the right default settings, right? Change whatever default settings that have been given to you by this game of life that do not benefit you, make changes to them, and put yourself in experience to unravel and unlock new attributes in your inventory. So when you move through this game of life, you have an abundance in your inventory because you have not been afraid to go at the heart of experience. Okay, so in closing, remember, life is a game, right? And the objective is not to win at this game. The objective is to gain experience. And experience invariably is the win. Because as you gain more experience, you gain more attributes, you gain more skills, and you gain more power. And you begin to unravel the infinite nature of the character that you are playing. Do not be limited in this game. This game allows you to interact and do as you please. But so long as you're not harming another individual. Because in the game, if you harm another individual, you are taking away points, you are deducting points from yourself. Because we are following the mirror principle. Every single character in the game is a reflection of you. So play the game right and play to experience. And if you guys found this valuable and insightful, you know what to do. Share this with all your coworkers, friends, and family. And unfortunately, this was the fast pace of the podcast because I'd done the first one initially and it got deleted. So I had to go in again. But hopefully you guys found this insightful. And to end it off, as I always end it off, for those who seek no more. For in the present, we find it all. Thank you very much, guys.